Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm winging it as always. I want to thank all of y'all for stepping up, always supporting Media 44's channel. I appreciate it. I'm definitely appreciative of all that I receive. So that's the first way I want to start the video. Mad appreciation, no complaints at all. I'm just paying attention to stuff that's going on in the world. First of all, nothing too pressing, just another bank bailout. Nothing too serious, just Silicon Valley Bank waking up to a $25 billion check that will effectively help them out of any financial over leveraging that may have been done on their behalf, or however that works. I understand the trickle down mindset. It gives the excuse to always provide a great deal of funds to banks and things like that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if banks go under, it's the little guy who often gets hurt, or the middle guy, or the business class rich that often get hurt. And a lot of times people on my level, we tend to not see the fruit, I guess, in giving them bailouts. But the idea is that they keep everything together. Jenga, they keep everything together. One of the reasons why it's so ugly out here for people who don't have money is because, just like the stock market, just like any other investment process, the more you have, the more you make. The less you have, the less you have to work with in regards to investing. So you can invest 2 cents, you strike it rich. 100% of 2 cents is 4 cents. Like, you don't get much. You invest little, you get very little. Now, you could lose a lot if you have a lot, but you had a lot, so you probably didn't over leverage in most cases. But when you're a bank like this, in the environment we're in, you most definitely over leverage like crazy. And that error needs to be weighed against the need to bail them out. Because if it's okay to make these type of errors, then how are they errors at all if they just keep getting bailed out? It gives them the ability to take risks they have no business taking, which is what it is we've been looking at for the last 4 years. It's why. It's absolutely why. They do what they shouldn't do, and then the Fed comes in and gives them money that they have no business giving them. So what that does is allows them the wiggle room to make mistakes. It's the same thing we say about basketball. Like, you put certain players on the floor, they're going to take advantage of the circumstances. You let a player play in foul trouble, they're going to play a little more tentative. These are things that are just reactionary to what it is you allow. If you're the NBA, I'm not gonna do certain things. You don't put a 3-point line back there, I'm not gonna be shooting that far away. It doesn't make any sense to. You know what I mean? So this is what I always say about the environment creation. It's like, yeah, you're bailing them out, and you're telling us you're bailing them out for reasons that make sense, and maybe those reasons do add up. But when do you hold them accountable for being in that position and playing around with the risk like they do? If you're so responsible for so much, at what point does your behavior get policed instead of the circumstances for which you being so big ultimately leaves you in a position to make bad decisions and take bad risk and make poor choices with the responsibility that you have to so many? You know what I mean? And I was looking at the logic behind it. I'm like, well, not only do the banks and rich overall making sure that the rich is accounted for, good for what it is that we've already discussed, but it's also good for political campaigns. If for some reason rich people aren't in a position to have the disposable income that they can throw at these political campaigns, and a lot of these political campaigns with a lot of our favorite political figures are not going to be in our faces, because it's not going to be the money that they use on their campaigns available that they would get from those people. So I think that's a lot of reasons why we may see bailouts as well. I just think it really comes down to political parties and the money that they often are thankful for. It comes back around to, you scratch my back in 2017, I come back around and scratch yours in 2023. It was the deal that was always in place, and unfortunately it's not a deal that people who don't have any business like that is going to ever get. And so our behavior gets policed, even though we affect so little. So it's no sense in us really getting bailouts unless it's some type of, pandemic or something. Then we might see a couple of $200 checks or whatever. But aside from that, the logic is your mistakes are not going to affect nobody else. Your over leveraging ain't going to affect nobody else. So therefore, the government doesn't see it being a lucrative investment investing in you. So the less you can do, the less it makes sense for the government to help you. And so the more you can do, regardless of how bad your behavior is with what it is that you do or how many people you're responsible for, you will be too big for the Fed to responsibly let you fall. So what does that mean? You get the wiggle room to do whatever you want because you know you got that bailout coming, so you can work that into your financial equation. You know if you blow $25 billion, they're going to give it right back to you. So you can go ahead and blow that. You can go ahead and shoot from 70 feet away because you know you got an extra basketball player on the floor to rebound the ball. You see what I'm saying? These type of parallels that we keep up with. So while they can tell the working class people that it is necessary that they bail out the banks, what they will not be able to lie to me about is that it's necessary to continue enabling them to make bad decisions. Can't convince me of that. So you can convince me that bailing them out will save a lot of people, keep jobs going, keep businesses flowing and all that. But what you can't tell me is that over leveraging isn't going to cost eggs to be an extra $2 in a couple months, as if they're not already expensive enough. See, this is what happens when you over leverage and then provide over leveraged money to bail you out of over leveraged circumstances, because that's all this really is. Because those who follow what it is I'm talking about know exactly what it is that we're looking at. So it's not really that hard to tell that the bad guys are continuing to feed the bad guys because one hand washes the other. And these people are bad because at the end of the day, they're lying to us about the importance of policing this behavior versus the importance of keeping them upright. See, it's a thing about Jenga, the game Jenga. You pull the wrong piece and it can have the whole thing tumble. But if the wrong piece was put there so that everything could tumble, you understand what I'm saying? If the wrong piece was put in a specific space, then nobody would be able to touch it because it would fall. Well, if that was the purpose, it was to make it fall, not so that it would hold it together, so that you would need to pull it. See, these are the type of things I think about. And as I look at the Fed, quote unquote, or the federal government, which is basically just our money over leveraged in all these various different forms, being divvied out to various political people that we, by way of culture, prioritize their self-preservation over what's righteous in a lot of situations. So we will allow them to work a bunch of bad gun laws and a bunch of bad laws all into our equation, right? We'll let them work it into our equation, put it on the bill, and give us choices to choose from, one bad or the next bad. We watch all this manifest and it build itself up. And in situations like this, we still don't see the correlation between the nonsense and their presence. The political scale of things. It's like you let people who are opportunists and marketers determine what happens in situations that have to do with your life, your money, your health care. These people are good at marketing to you. They put on good commercials and they know how to read teleprompters really, really well in a lot of cases. And these are the people that we put in charge over the people who strategize. How does that make sense? Colorful people who can garner our attention like celebrities. People who have an infinite amount of charisma and various amounts of substance. And we think that those are the people that should be leading our generals. Like the whole system never made any sense. Because it was always about gathering up the people, no different than this era is about. It's just a reflection of how this country's always been about. It's about gathering the attention of the people so that you can get the people to voting however way they're going to vote, which is likely going to be stupid because people move together stupid in these ways. Oh, do you like that? Yeah, I like that too. Okay, let's move together. And so you get people who can get people to feel that way. So you can put people in positions that you can easily manipulate. And so that stuff like this could be set in place over hundreds of years of time. You can set up stuff like this. so that the system is like this. Put a bad Jenga piece there so people can't move that, so you can always have the corruptibility to do whatever you want. Can't move that piece because it's going to be bad. See, poor people don't dare touch that piece. And meanwhile, they're corrupting that piece every single chance they get. They painting something different on that color so they know from their angle not to touch that piece. But you're all right. It just looks like a regular piece from your angle. And so these are the type of things I'm just like, man, people are cheating the game. But here's the problem about cheating the game. Has anybody ever played Guacamole? It's a game that you would see in places like, if you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese or a little spot like that. It's a little game where you take a mallet and little moles, I guess you call them, pop up out of little holes, and you whack the hole, and then another mole pops up, and then you whack that hole, and then another mole pops up, and then 2 and 3 and 4, and you find yourself whacking at every hole that you never quite hit the mole. Every once in a while you'll hit the mole, he'll pop up, you get him in the head, but you miss like 30 of them as they pop up all over the place at random as you're swinging away 3 times as slow as they pop up. That is what this is about to be for the Fed, in my humble opinion. Yeah, you can get SVB and get them a bailout, but watch when the moles start popping up left and right, because every single body is, in fact, over-leveraged. All of them. The money they're using to bail them out is over-leveraged, so of course everybody's over-leveraged. That's what we're going to come to truly understand. It's not about SVB being bailed out. It's about how many other moles are about to pop up on the Fed as they whack away 3 times as slow as they pop. That is what this is about to be. Y'all worried about one bailout, so is the Fed. I don't even know why they started the process of bailing these guys out when they know this is what the game is going to be. It's whack-a-mole. You can bail them out with 25B over here. Next guy is going to need 15B. The third guy is going to need 70B. The fourth guy, he's going to need 160B. And it's just going to keep going all over the place. Different numbers, different Bs. Until you start getting to the big dogs. The ones who leverage themselves out of the ass. Yeah, they're going to need Ts. You got those two? I'm trying to tell y'all. This is what we've been talking about for 3 years. This is what we've been suffering over for 3 years. This is what's going on. But I think people don't understand. The game of whack-a-mole has just began. The Fed can't catch all of them. They can't bail them all out. But once they start using that over-leveraged money to do so, people are going to start realizing what it is we've been talking about for the last 3 years. You're going to start seeing the remnants of what happens when you over-leverage yourself to hell and continue to bail yourself out with the same money that you over-leverage yourself with. The math, it's going to tear your country apart. That's what happens. Turn into a place that has nothing because you have nothing to represent what it is that you're paying for. So eventually you start giving people the money that doesn't represent anything, and they start realizing you don't have anything. And they stop doing business with you. That's how this goes. Our fellow friends all over the world are going to find out, if they're not in cahoots with us, which 9 out of 10 of them probably are, they're going to find out they don't have anything to represent what it is that they're exchanging. They're passing IOUs back and forth infinitely. Doesn't work. It does not work. What you end up seeing is infinite increases on pricing of everything. $30 gas, $100 eggs. That's what's going to happen to us if we keep doing this and acting like it's okay to do, or acting like this is just simply corruption at work. No, this isn't corruption at work. This is a failed plan beginning. This is the process of starting a futile process that doesn't end properly for you, and you know it when you start it. But there's nothing you could do because, quite honestly, infinitely over-leveraged. While you're trying to put the guacamole out, they're still duplicating more and more leveraging for themselves out of nothing. This is happening. It'll be happening in an hour from now. As soon as the stock market starts, they begin the process of doing this to themselves, doing this to us, doing this to the world. And who I feel sorry for is the people who they're investing in. the emerging markets that they are investing in, the various countries that are just getting started, that think America has a strong backbone because they got all the money in the world and have for the last 400 years. And they're taking money from America thinking we can use this money to invest in ourselves. We want to be strong because America's going to be strong. They're the ones that's going to get hit the hardest. They're the ones that's going to get hit the hardest because what they don't know is that America isn't stable at all when you consider all of the money they've wasted on this damn country, on this situation. Through the stock markets, the financial system, they've allowed temporary, small-minded, dim-witted people to take their short-minded circumstances and apply them to something that can affect us for 30 years. Temporary, nonsensical, political, figures with great personality. You know what I mean? They've allowed for the generals who really, however they do, allowed us to find ourselves in this situation. And that's what I look at. Military generals who are about the defense and about the most important things that this country has to consider. You do know how much danger we are in. The real strategists, the ones who are supposed to save us from the deepest and darkest threats in the earth, you do understand how deep a dark hole we're in because of this. You do understand this, right? Like the type of defensive tactics we'll need to keep our enemies off of us because of the weakness that we've allowed ourselves to engage in because of this decision. Oh, it's gonna get ugly, real ugly. We can pretend like we don't know this, but certain things beget other things. And when you start showing people you don't have what it is you say you have, you open the door for a lot of people come knocking. A lot of people come knocking, especially when you big bad wolf. It's a chink in your armor? How deep it go? This is why I just sit back and pray, because I know it's as messed up as my little situation is. It's only messed up because people are doing this in the world and I found out about it and attached myself to it. That's the only reason why my life sucks. It's because I dedicated as much of it as I could to being on the other end of this. It's true. It's exactly what I'm doing. I got a whiff of what they were doing. My mind, as colorful as it is, can fathom things that aren't being said in regards to what happens when you do this. I think about the decimation in Africa. Think about the decimation in so many different places. It's possible. When things become too expensive for people to make happen for themselves, when gas gets too expensive, when eggs become too expensive, when healthcare is no longer available under reasonable, prices and stuff like that, it becomes impossible to live in the area. The rich people will leave. They'll go to countries where they can afford to have foundation and stability around them. They're gonna get away from this place. And then you're gonna see it turn into one of those places. Yeah, this is the beginning of the end for our country, y'all. If we, common folks like myself and you, don't do something about it, which is why my life is going the way it's gone for the last 3 years. That's exactly why. I didn't handle it well. I didn't have the mental fortitude nor the help and support I needed to do things properly, to be honest with you. My mind was just crap. But my understanding, my spirit was right on point. People needed to sacrifice greatly to keep whatever's about to happen from happening. Whatever happens when there's no resistance to the over leveraging that sends us straight to the pits of hell. Yeah, we go straight to the pits of hell. That's what happens if there are no AMC apes. That's exactly what happens if there are no AMC GME apes. This goes exactly the way it does without the resistance in place, to at least raise awareness that this is about to happen to you. See, this channel, everybody who follows me close enough, anybody who ever saw me make apes rants years ago, we already knew what happened with SVB was going to take place. I barely blinked. SVB went belly up, or however. Yeah, that's how this goes. The Fed came through and bailed them out after saying they weren't going to do so. Yeah, that's how this goes. And then another one pops up, they do that. Then another one pops up, they do that. And they start realizing they can't keep doing this every 3 days. That's how this goes. Banks. Not one, most of them. Like a good majority, honestly. And a lot of your favorite companies, It's going to get weird, man. I truly believe we're going to see mainstay companies disappear in a matter of 3-4 weeks. It's going to be a situation where certain parent companies are going to have to dissolve certain mainstay companies just to make up for the over leveraging. They have to get rid of stuff that we know of. Things that you think you see, you're going to start seeing them disappear. I'm not going to pretend like I know who or what, but it's just a product of what happens when parent companies are over leveraged. What happens to the little companies that they own? They got to sell them. They got to dissolve them. They need a liquidity. It's inevitable. This isn't some prophecy. This is what happens. This is cause and effect. So when you see mainstay company A just stop showing ads, you stop seeing their stores, and they start, adding destruction to every store they got, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Damn, what happened to such and such store? They were wrapped up in that there. They're gone now. And I have a feeling, just by the way of the spirit of God of whom I pray to, I have a weird feeling that we're going to find out some of the companies that are going to go belly up are the ones that are selling us the most nasty and killing and damning poison there is to receive. Maybe that's just my prayer, pie in the sky. But I do believe the same people who are doing this to us have many ways of harming us, little people, as well. I think that a lot of times the stuff that happens to us, and maybe, like I said, maybe I'm just paranoid, but I think a lot of stuff that goes on with people on this level is just deliberate. I think a lot of it is deliberate. I think a lot of people like to toy with people who don't have a lot because it's like a sick, twisted game in a way for a lot of people. They're just sitting on the top of a chessboard with nothing to do, nothing to risk them, nothing that would keep them feeling like anything less than a god. So the type of games that gods tend to play when they don't have actual spiritual energy is toying with man, because for whatever reason, that's like the pinnacle for being a god in the minds of a lot of small-minded individuals. Like, in order to be a god, you gotta focus your attention on screwing with man and teaching man lessons, as if that's like God's actual interest in life. It's really not. But nevertheless, that's what man has convinced itself. So anytime they try to play God, that's what they want to do. They immediately want to make life harder on other humans. But it is what it is, man. That's exactly what I see there. I people playing really, really evil games at the top, experimenting with the minds of people who don't have a lot because they think they're dispensable. They think they can't make any money, so what else are they good for but to toy with? It's true. I don't have to be in those rooms to know how that is. I know what indifference can do when you have nothing to worry about. Literally nothing to worry about. When you know someone's going to bail you out for whatever mistakes or just wacky decisions you choose to make, or whatever experiments you decide to use. See, that's the thing. If I know I'm going to get 25 bill, I can just experiment with the 25 bill, fam. Experiment with it. Okay, we're looking at what they did. They bailed out the banks. They gave them 25 bill. But never mind that. Forget that. That's what we see. They could have spent that money on dyeing all the pigs purple. Like all the pigs. Any pig you see, they could have dyed it purple with that 25 billion. Why? Because they're going to get it back no matter how they spend it. No matter how they spend it. $25 billion purple dye, all pigs. Just because. That's your money. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back. All they need to see is that it's gone and that we're too big to fall. They give it back to us, man. All the pigs, they about to be purple, fam. All of them. If I got my say so, yeah. I think it'd be really cool to live in a world where pigs are purple. And that's the type of crap we can be dealing with people who don't have nothing to worry about. All the money in the world, all the safety and leverage to take care of their family, their children, their children's children, their great-grandchildren. These are the things that bring about compassion in people's hearts when you have concern about these type of things. When you got to wake up in the morning and wonder whether or not you're going to live check to check. You don't have the ability to toy with people's lives. You don't have the time nor the reach to do the stuff that these people are capable of doing and bailing each other out for. To see what they weren't counting on is any type of resistance like this. See, I'm supposed to have my mind wrapped up in too many different things to be talking about this. I'm supposed to be waking up in the morning worrying about paying for all of this. everything that I got in my own personal world, because I don't have the ability to be saved by the government like that. They're not going to give me whatever percentage that would be of what it is I lost. They're not going to give me that. So I got to get up and be nice to somebody, anybody, or else the world can close in on me. I better keep my image right, or I lose whatever endorsements might be in my life if I'm a big time star of any kind. It doesn't matter what level I'm on. I better be nice. I better capitulate to somebody's will. I better think about something other than what I believe, or I ain't gonna get my bag. I ain't gonna keep my bag. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, for me, I just look at all this and I say, okay, as I've always said, we've been doing a lot of things that work for a long time. They may work for a few people, but not work for everybody. But if you get everybody to fall in line with whatever their role is in regards to the circumstance, you could just get by. And that's what's happened. Rich people get the short end of the stick. The poor people get to experiment. And we agree to this, so we just get by. Nobody sits here and say, yo, that's not even, or I'm upset about this because it's not even. No, it's none of that, because you just accept by way of the culture and how long it's been that you're at a disadvantage, and that's just what it is. So American people who vote for these individuals will wake up in the morning and see 25 billion of their tax dollars go straight into the pockets of people who made deliberate mistakes. And we're supposed to say this is fine because of the culture we've lived in all this time. Knowing that eggs are going to be $12 a pop next time. Knowing that these same people are going to be saying, you're not black unless you vote for me. The same people are going to do all this nonsense that makes eggs twice what they worth, 3 times, 4 times what they're supposed to be priced, because they over leveraging themselves in every area but life. And you're trying to put us in a position to think that we're wrong for not voting for you. Well, this is what you do when you get in office. This is why I don't really want to deal with the way things are right now. You want me to pick from 2 evils? You put 2 charismatic figures in my face, throw a couple $1 billion of blood money behind their campaigns, and I'm supposed to just sit up here and believe in them because they speak as clearly as I do? That's the point. When I look in the mirror, I see somebody who speaks as clearly as they do. I can read that teleprompter twice as good as both of them, as most of them. So I know I don't know a damn thing about strategy. I know speculation based on what it is I've allowed myself and within the confines of my circumstances. But I can still get up there and cap just like I do. I can tell you everything you want to hear. Surround myself with the right strategists that can give me the script to let me sound like the best Obama-like character you ever see. I can do that. And with my ignorance, I'll lead us all into a hole. Why? Because I do not know. Do not know. Whatever it is I need to know, I'm definitely not going to know. But that's not the point. Because the point is the people on the other side of that probably are just as intelligent in that regard as I am. But you're voting them in because they speak very well. And they know how to make everybody feel really, really good about them while they're on camera in front of a bunch of people who are actually rooting for them. You really want to impress me? You have those debates in front of a bunch of booing people. People that can't stand them. That's who they need to be doing these debates in front of. Disagreeable people. People putting pressure on them. You ever see a basketball player shooting free throws on the road during a playoff game with 2 seconds on the road? That's the pressure these celebrity, also known as politicians, need to be under. If they want me to believe in them in situations like this, you need to show me that you can do this under pressure, not when everybody's rooting for you. Little things like this, a leadership, we're trying to gauge who's the best leader. But then 3 years into their tenures, you're dealing with this nonsense. You're dealing with this crap. That's why I'm like, man, Democrats, Republicans, you align yourself with one of the gangs. So you're going to go with whatever the gang do because you need the gang to be on point. So we could put our biggest, goofiest doofus in front of us. God knows it was probably a Trojan horse who elected this moron. But nevertheless, we're going with the gang. So we're going to put this dude up here. He can't even put 2 words together halfway. But we're going to put him up there because he's just goofy enough to gather the attention of the stupid masses. Ooh, he's nice and colorful. Ooh, he's like a catchy tune. Put him up there. He could lead us to the victory that our country needs. And we engage in this bull crap. Like it actually works. So, just to skip back to what I've already said in previous therapy sessions, if they found a diamond planet or something, or the black market has gotten so incredibly lucrative for them that they can afford to do this, then that would explain a lot. That would explain why they'll be able to play whack-a-mole for a little bit. They'll be able to play for a little bit. But it's just like any other basketball analogy. Don't move your pivot. You better keep dribbling. Keep that dribble alive, friend. Don't pick it up. Think you're going to dribble again. See, that's what's going to happen to the feds. Because this, my friends, is an act of God. There are people on the other side of their leveraging that weren't supposed to be there. A resistance that came from the divine that was not even worked into the equation by those who have everything under control. They overestimated the allure of their campaign energy and all that other stuff that they do. They underestimated our third eye. And our willingness to say, nah, I don't care how long this has been going on. Somebody's going to stop it. The inevitable evolution of man through things that would otherwise kill them. We find a way to survive. Think about it. Man will adapt. So what happens when something extreme happens to man that doesn't kill it? We found a way to survive it, do we not? So whatever they thought they were doing, it was going to wipe us out or put people in a position to have very little room to expand their families into lucrative circumstances to continue to be poor forever. It was a divine resistance that was coming out of nowhere to be just strong enough to stop them. So here we are, a natural occurrence. Apes, common folk who got a whiff of what they were doing and did something about it. And that is why this is going to be whack-a-mole. Not because of the practice of constantly bailing people out with money over leverage. No, but because there's an actual God. He didn't like what they were doing, and he created a bunch of people to stop it. That's exactly what it is. This is God's reaction to your bullcrap. Yes, humans. Humans that are supposed to be warped in the idea of culture and confusion and capitalism and leveraging and things that I need for myself and my own. I'm supposed to be thinking about me. I'm in a culture where everything's about right now. What's the numbers on this video? Did I get 1 million? Then it wasn't good enough. Let's delete it. But see, God is real, so he didn't wire me that way. While y'all sit over there worried about the numbers, I'm thinking about how I'm going to affect people millions and millions of years with words that I'm saying. It's going to stay in the cloud forever. They're going to be able to interpret this language and figure it out. And they're going to be able to apply whatever parallels to their lives that we're discussing in ours. You see, that's a 100-year plan, 1,000-year plans they got in place. They want us to be too small-minded and too shallow of thought to think about planning for anything past our own existences, past our own immediate future, past our noses. But the reality is the God we pray to has plans in place that transcend all time and space. Things that are beyond the understanding of time moving forward. And circumstances transpiring as opposed to him causing certain things, and then from there the realities come true. See, that's why the apes are going to win in the end. It's exactly why, because the math is going to add up. We're going against corruption. We're going against the deterioration of the process of building things. We're going against forced fed failure. That's what we're going against. I'm going to win too. So this is what it is. When I assess my own mental health and why I've allowed my mental health to deteriorate in my own personal life, it's because I was going up against the death itself, it seems. The very thing that's looking to deteriorate us over time. All poor people, all people of color, anybody that's basically not in the plans of those who are doing whatever it is that they're doing allegedly. That's basically what it is that we're going up against. We're trying to survive this. We're trying to see to it that our children have an opportunity to live. Because it's obvious to me that they're trying to deteriorate us so that they never do. That's what I see. They're trying to wipe out an entire generation of people, discard us, turn us into whatever it is that we are turning into, and not focus on things that are going to have us developing 100-year plans and spiritual covenants and things of that nature that we're just supposed to not be able to do. We're not even supposed to be thinking about trying to do those things, because we're supposed to be too busy trying to find leverage in a world where there's no balance. Try to find a way to get ours in a space where there's no end to what it is that you're grabbing at. Think about it. If something's being duplicated over and over and over again to no end, and if people are able to make wild decisions with massive amounts of money just to be bailed out, that's the very definition of over leveraging, is it not? I lost 25 billion. Oops, there goes some more. I lost 24 billion. Oops, there goes some more. The action itself is a reflection of what it is you're looking at. The action itself is a reflection of what it is we're fighting against. No matter how much money they lose, they just keep popping up with more. Then they tell you right there that you shouldn't be working the way you're working. Then they tell you right there that whatever you're reaching for, you could have more. Whatever time you're spending doing whatever it is you're doing to make money, you do understand that you can just walk over there and take more, if not for them in the way telling you can't, while they continue to duplicate as much of it for you to have as much as you want and everybody around you to have as much as they want. See, that's the part they can't get my head not to see. When you're giving $25 billion to people who want to paint pigs purple, you do understand that that's $25 billion that could go to every last one of the people who don't want to paint pigs purple. $25 billion that can go to every one of the people that want to actually do something good with the money, who want to learn how to do something good with the money. And keeping that money out of our circumstances so that we can't educate our kids on how to keep these idiots from painting pigs purple, let alone from wanting to be in a world where pigs need to be purple. Are you following me, y'all? Because I don't think I'm speaking some weird language. I really don't. And I tell you, if you benefit from this, you got to understand, man, that's not real leverage. That's not real. God is actually trying to stop that from happening. So while you're sitting there enjoying your life off of that money, you got to understand that if it goes left, you're going to lose that money. They're not going to be able to bail you out. Guacamole, fam. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they can't keep whacking. The mole's going to keep popping up too much. This is going to cause some people to devastate, to lose everything, bro. People who have a lot are going to lose a lot. That's what I'm trying to express. It's going to be billionaires and they're not going to have a lot of money at the end of this. They can't bail out for everybody, bro. They cannot. It's the moral of the 37 minutes I have to say. They can't bail out everybody. I want people to know that, and I think I've already said this on camera, but there's a guy by the name of Kenneth Griffin who is on my prayer list. Kenneth Griffin is the head of Citadel, and he is alleged to have a lot to do with a lot to do in regards to what we're talking about. But I just don't like the idea of one fall guy, man. When I know this is an entire system that probably has 30 or 40 countries attached to it. It ain't just one guy. So when they try to hold Ken accountable for whatever he may have done, just know that I'm not buying the it's all his fault narrative. I'm jumping ahead of that, however many years it is ahead of that. When he is the fall guy, however it goes, just remember I said that. He's on the prayer list. And it ain't because he's a great guy. It's because he's going to be a fall guy. And I'm not buying. I'm not buying. It's not a one-man job. This ain't thought up from one person. This was in a conglomerate, collective effort. That's likely part of a system of corruptions that have kept this thing going. A system, a flurry of different corrupted practices that this country has allowed itself to engage in to keep itself in a position of power all over the world. But see, if you don't have balance and wisdom attached to your power, you are going to risk your power. I don't care how intelligent you are, if you don't have wisdom attached to what it is you're doing, you allow it to be at risk. You take too much, now you're at a risk of somebody coming for what it is that you've over snatched. You take too little, now you don't have enough of what you need. Balance. These people didn't see the wisdom in having balance. A human being trying to be God, what's the wisdom in not being God? You can't see all the angles, friend. You're going to make a mistake. Once you get control of everything, you don't have all the information, all the history, and the ability to have the wisdom for each and every circumstance you surmise. You see everything, but you don't know what you're looking at. So while you surmise you're a God, oh, I'm God, what you're going to find out is you're going to start messing stuff up, trying to be God, because you are not a God and you don't know what he knows. I don't care how much you think you have control over. You're lacking the vision, the ability to make things true. You cannot do that. You try stuff and it manifests as whatever reaction to whatever things you're rubbing together do. Whatever chemical reaction happens for what it is that you do, that's what you're seeing. You're going to react to what it is that happens to happen when you do certain things. That's not how God operates. That ain't how he operates at all. But we as man think forward, reach up, and that is the only angles we understand. And therefore, we mess up the math altogether. When you take too much, think you're too much, think nobody can stop you from doing what you're doing, thinking no God is in a place to actually be offended by your nonsense. All of this is a miscalculation. That's all it is. Bad freaking math. For people who have their third eye closed and a whole lot of reach. If you just had a connection to the real, actual God, you would know why you should have never even put yourself in a position to think this was a good idea as a country to cheat the world to be the biggest. Because once you're the biggest, you got to be able to hold that down. You got to be able to hold that down. And if you're cheating, you will not be able to. All you're going to do is make yourself foolish in the end. You're going to be the one on the platform everybody looks at and says you had it all and you did wrong with it. That's all you're going to end up being, is a guy on a hill getting stones thrown at him. Wisdom. You know, this is why you don't let godlessness take over. It's not as simple as, oh, the culture of devilishness allows us to be ourselves. No, it's inaccurate, friend. You're going to be coerced into bad math. That's all it is. So I try to get people to improve their energy on all levels, man. And it's parallel. I don't care how many layers of different complications you're looking at. I don't care how complicated your puzzle is. It just comes down to the fact that it's on Earth. Whatever you're dealing with, it's here in reality, which means it's under God, which means it's going to have to deal with some natural resistance to it. That's going to be what your constant is. You keep doing nonsense and you're going to see a natural, organic occurrence that's going to come against that nonsense to provide the balance that you refuse to seek. Because God is real. And this is a game of whack-a-mole. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.